I Love Jared. Where did you get that from?
What is this odd thing?
It's brand new from the ground up.
It's a little bit more cushion for the pushing.
Yeah.
I just got roosted.
You gotta stop telling them that this is fun.
Good morning. It is vlog 14. We are out in the back roads of Glen Helen Raceway shooting some off-road stuff today. This is a vlog. I am warning you now. This is not a full test video. Just giving you a heads up because we got some people that don't like to read the description or the title. Kind of weird. But anyway, this is a vlog and it's vlog 14. It's a little behind the scenes look at what we do at Dirtbike Magazine on a day-to-day basis. We have some fun. We shoot the bikes, and yeah, we do have some feedback in the videos, you know, just some early feedback that you might not even get in the test video. So it is worth a watch, and if you got the time, stay tuned and we'll show you what we're shooting. And with that being said, I just recently took charge of the 2024 KTM 450 SXF factory edition. I put a couple hours on it. Started at 3 hours, so some of the guys that raced it and rode it, and then I took it over. I had the previous model, so the big difference is they've changed the frame on that bike and they have updated the suspension. And I can personally tell you that the new frame and new suspension settings make a huge difference. I was thinking it wasn't gonna be much, but it was pretty impressive. Mark, what do you think about that?
I think that you were a little bit mad that we got to put 3 hours on it before you got to ride it.
Facts.
And we did that on purpose.
Facts.
Because we kind of looked at it and went, yeah, we don't really care what Travis thinks because he's getting a brand new motorcycle. You are our resident KTM 450 guy, which is a nice thing because we do get a lot of motorcycles. We actually get more motorcycles than we can ride on a normal basis.
We get too many motorcycles.
Yeah,
don't lie.
but hey, I mean, really, is there such a thing as too much of a good thing?
This
yeah,
is true.
I don't think so. So it's nice because you're riding, whether or not people know it, you're riding every single weekend. You're riding, if you can, during the week.
Absolutely.
You're putting a lot of time on motorcycles, and when you ride, you're riding 40 minutes at a time. So we used to give you a bad time about doing fant laps and only making it to where you went on certain parts of the course or certain parts of the track.
I changed my tune, didn't I?
So you're with a little bit of Dirtbike Magazine influence and all that kind of stuff with doing some off-road stuff, and now you do 40-minute motos, and we're kind of like, okay, Travis, let's go, come on. Like, let's not do this anymore. But it is nice that you put so much time on the previous frame and previous suspension settings and stuff like that. Benefit because we know the guys at WP and those guys that will set up some pro components for you.
For sure.
So right now you're kind of slumming. We're making you ride the stock stuff and kind of do it the right way testing wise. See what the difference is between.
Yeah, I am stoked that that stuff didn't come in until recently, which you'll see at some point, but I'm stoked I actually rode the stock out of the box, what you buy at the dealership, in comparison to just literally the year previous, pretty much back to back, get a real feel for each bike and what KTM did to that 450 in a short amount of time. Pretty impressive, I'm not gonna lie. Like the 3 hour mark, what that frame felt like and the suspension felt like compared to what my last bike felt like at a low hour mark with the steel frame, major difference.
Well, and I remember, like, I haven't put that much time on the new frame. I've been able to ride a lot of different bikes that have that, and what I experience is just more rider comfort. It kind of squats a little bit more in the back that I liked about the previous generation. Damon at WP, they go through and they have suspension settings for every single brand new bike that comes out. Like they're working on 25 stuff right now, maybe even 26 stuff. But it's kind of nice to where those service centers have those kind of settings. As soon as that bike comes out, they release those settings for the pro components, I think even for some of the standard equipment that comes on there. But there's a lot of testing that goes into that. And I've been able to see some of that behind the scenes. You've been able to kind of be that guy for us behind the scenes and say, hey, yeah, you know what? I don't really like this. And I know that the last setup we had was a setup for Mike Brown that he raced on. And you're like, Tilly, I don't know if I'm gonna like that. And then I go, well, Damon says it's good and some of the other guys say it's good, so just try it and see. Like, go through the testing process. And I remember you calling me and going, dude, I don't know what is going on. I know I'm not as fast as Mike Brown, but this stuff worked really well
it was
for
incredible.
me. Now we have an updated setting in that suspension, those Pro component suspension that they've came up with to match the new frame, because just when you have a new frame doesn't mean that it's going to be plush and it's going to be great with those old suspension settings. You got to change those suspension settings, because those suspension settings might have been a little softer to offset the rigidity of the frame. So now they can go a little bit stiffer with that, hold it up higher in the stroke. So I can't wait. I know we just got this suspension and we got it to you and it's at your house. And so now it's one of those things to where you can do that testing process going back and forth. So it's kind of cool that we get to have all this fun stuff to play with in general, but it's nice that you spend so much time on certain motorcycles.
Yeah, it's good because I've been very fortunate since like early 2018. I've been able to go almost back to back to back every lineup, especially on the KTM 450, and really get a feel for the changes that they're implementing every year. And it's cool to see on an OE, just like the either improvements or step backward, whatever happens, I can really get a feel for that. I ride a Select for the most part. Yeah, I go up to Northern California, and I do ride in Florida on the 450. So don't think I'm only doing West Coast on these bikes. I am actually going to Florida for weeks on end and testing these things in soft, rutted, rough, bumpy tracks with a lot of moisture. So don't think I'm just riding
on your vacation.
On my vacation.
On your vacation. You take a moto vacation every year. Anybody that knows pays attention to it. You take a moto vacation that you go, nope, I'm clocking out for 2 weeks. I'm going to the house in Florida. I'm riding all the tracks in Florida. You got the Monster Mountains and the 191 MXs and all of the different places that we don't have out here, and you're giving us that feedback. The other thing with you said about, you know, being able to go back to back to back to back. There's times to where like you would come to me and go, man, I can't tell a difference. Like, or man, it's really crazy how much different my bike that has 80 hours on it is different than this bike that has 3 hours on it. And it's good because sometimes you look at it, you go, yeah, frame break in, really, is it that big of a deal? Well, it is. Not only on steel frame bikes, but on aluminum frame bikes, it's a big deal. But it's nice that we have your testing time and you're doing stuff to where, yeah, you're doing it when you're not working. Like you do it the same reason we do it. It's because we love to do it. It's one of those things where you come back and go, hey, you know what? I couldn't tell a difference. And then I'll come back and go, you know what? Neither could I. Or, hey, try this and see what you think. And then you come back and go, oh, wow, you know what? Now that you say that, this is easier to do. Or there was a lot of times to where when they are changing engine configurations and stuff like that, that you would come back and you go, hey, man, I don't know, but it's easier to get over this double or hit this big jump that I couldn't do on my other bike unless I had a pipe on it. Now it's smoother, and with all this stuff, I don't have that pipe on the bike yet, but it's making it to where I can do stuff. And so that feedback to us is invaluable, because I'm not spending enough time on that bike. I spend a lot of time on the KX450 and some of the other bikes, but I don't spend a lot of time on the KTM 450 because I got you that's riding and you don't race it, but you're riding it all the time. Your buddies have them. Aaron has one. Ouchie TJ.
Yeah. Foos.
Yeah, Foos. All of these guys have a wide variety of motorcycles. A lot of you guys go back and forth on what bike you like the best and how it works. So in general, it gives us a real world kind of impression of, it's just a cool atmosphere for the magazine to be able to tap into.
How this conversation started is definitely a noticeable improvement on the 2024 450 Factory Edition. I'm excited to put more time on it, but right out of the gate, I can tell you that the frame is more compliant. It's a plusher feel for sure at the low hour mark than I've felt on this new generation style frame. So 2023, 4, and now this half year model 2024.5. This is the most, I would say, compliant, like easy to jump on frame.
Just rider friendly.
Rider friendly than I've experienced so far. So it's actually kind of exciting for me to see that KTM is listening, you know, to us, but maybe to all the media, their race staff, everything, and they're making adjustments pretty damn fast, if you ask me. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's pretty amazing that they can make those, because when this bike came out, we loved the last frame and the last setup and everything, but it's because we were familiar with it. And then it comes out and we're like, man, this thing is kind of rigid and you got to do stuff. And then the race team kind of felt the same way. And you saw it with Barsha, who actually got that bike this year and struggled the first part of the Supercross season. So I think that they made this bike, or that the last generation now, they made it for their race team and to be rigid, and a lot of racers would be like,
that's kind of the message I got.
Yeah, and then even the race team guys were like, hey, this is a little bit too rigid. Like, we like it, and we like it for Supercross, and we like it for this kind of stuff. But you know what? Maybe, I mean, even Sexton getting on the new bike was, I think he started with the new frame. But so if he would have started with the other frame, it being a lot more rigid. Like, so we saw the guys from the top all the way to the bottom. But it is, like you said, it's nice that these companies are listening to, they're listening to the guys at the top and the guys that they're paying to say that the bike's great and, you know, win races and stuff like that. But they're also listening to the consumer who's spending $10,000 to $15,000 buying this motorcycle.
And they're stuck with this bike. Like, you're not buying this bike for a year. The average guy is hoping whatever bike he buys is lasting 1 to 3 years, you know, and they don't maybe get out every week to ride,
or even longer than that. Like, you know, they're looking at it, they're going, yeah, man, I finally convinced my wife to let me buy a motorcycle, and I got to make this thing last 5 years minimum, because the kids are gonna need bikes, and there's gonna be
the last thing you want is a consumer to feel like they're stuck with a bike instead of like, I can't imagine riding anything else. That's the last thing you want, is a consumer to feel like they're stuck in something.
And it's not just a KTM thing. There's people, the new Yamaha, there's people that don't like the new Yamaha, that they think that it's a little bit too rigid, it's not as rider friendly, it's not as planted. There's people that don't like the new Cowie because they look at it and they go, it gives me some head shake and it's not fast and it's not. So it's nice because there is, no matter what, you can take any motorcycle out there on the market, hands down, and make it work for you.
Absolutely.
Will there be another motorcycle that might work a little bit better? Maybe fit your riding style a little bit more? Yes. But if you buy a bike, you can set it up for yourself. But in general, it's still nice that those manufacturers are taking feedback from everywhere and looking at it and going, okay, maybe we need to change it here. And changing a frame is not a small thing.
No, and the cost, like even a foot peg for OEs is a big deal. When the lawyers and penny counters are in a room together and they're going over literally a foot peg change, that is a massive undertaking for a company to take on. So it's millions of dollars when it adds up to finally getting the foot peg on a motorcycle. So when they're doing frames, imagine what that costs. The tooling, the manufacturing, the mass production, because KTM, they make a bazillion different models. And guess what? This frame, one day, maybe not tomorrow, this frame will be on every single motorcycle that they have. That's 3 brands, off-road, dual sport, moto, everything will have this new frame. So what does that cost? That's insane that
That's just the implementation of it. That's not the research, the development, the paying the test riders to ride it, building different frames, because you know that they're building different frames with different stuff.
I've even heard that they've played with aluminum.
Yeah, well, when we got to go over there, we got to see it. And it's nice that there's a company that goes, yeah, you know what? There wasn't something that we liked better. I know we always give the testing department at Yamaha a really bad time because they will keep their stuff the same for a really long time. When everybody's going air forks, they're like, nope, we're staying with spring. It's heavier, but we don't need to cut the cost. We don't need to do this. And Butler and Tokarski and Preston and all those guys over there have been doing it for so long. They do a really great job, and they're not going to change their motorcycles unless it makes it better. When they do find something that makes it better, they make it happen. So, and then these companies that are changing stuff all the time to try to figure sometimes they start chasing their tail.
You know what's interesting with that? So KTM has tried aluminum and said, nah, it's not for us, or we don't see the benefit. Triumph, when I was in Florida and I spent the week with those guys and actually met a lot of the engineers and people on the design staff and testing staff, and Ricky was a big voice of this, was they tried steel. And I think that was the original plan. Now don't quote me on that, but I think that was the original plan, was to go with the steel frame. They went to aluminum, and quoting Ricky, he said steel was kind of plateaued as far as development and where it can go, and aluminum hasn't gotten there yet. And he thinks as bikes develop and change, that he thinks that aluminum was better out of the gate and there's more room to grow moving forward. So that's interesting. Two different takes on frame material. And
then we bring in a whole nother aspect of Triumph going a 5-year process to bring out a new motorcycle and to do a brand new motorcycle from the ground up. Yeah, they looked at certain stuff that, hey, this is on the market and this is doing really well. Let's test that. Let's do that. And it's, I mean, we're able to be in a time where other big companies are coming into this. We got Triumph and Ducati and all of those other companies. I mean, Beta's doing a big push for looking at the US market. Sherco's doing the same thing. So it's an awesome time to be in our industry and in off-road and in motocross, to where all of these companies coming out with different ideas. And if you had asked me before I went to the Triumph thing, I'd be like, yeah, it's probably going to be slow, it's going to be rigid, you know. And I was pleasantly surprised. The bike's not slow, it's not rigid, it's got great components on it. All that stuff as a whole makes that a really good bike. I can't wait till we get our long-term version. And then the rumors of a 450 coming.
Oh, I got some rumors. Yeah. There are some bikes coming from Triumph, especially for Dirtbike magazine. I'll just leave it there. We're gonna be excited to test.
Well, and that's awesome. I mean, we can't say enough to where we have the opportunity to see a lot of brand new companies come in. And with that on our schedule of testing, we can't hate on it. It's a cool thing to where there is going to be more stuff.
We're gonna have some shootouts, I'll tell you this. And it's not gonna be on the, it won't be on the track, but there's gonna be some shootouts.
It's a family affair for me. One of those things to where I just look at it and go, yeah, we're winning. Like, this is great that I'm actually able to bring my kids into being a test rider and being able to have the fun and do stuff like what I've grown up doing, and not really grown up, I started later, but like I've been doing for the last 25 years. And going on a photo shoot with Ron Lawson is a normal thing for me. Going on a photo shoot with Ron Lawson for my 14-year-old is a big deal. It's just cool that we have such a diverse group of test riders to where we find something that fits everybody.
Speaking of diverse, if you want to talk about diverse, definitely Jared.
Yeah, I mean, you can't say anything that, I mean, everybody loves Jared. I love Jared too. We got the I Love Ron shirts, and maybe something might be coming with the I Love Jared. He's down to do anything. Backyard Design is a big partner for Dirtbike. You see him on a lot of project bikes. You see him on a lot of our test bikes. Jared is kind of the head of Backyard Designs. He's odd sometimes. We'll kind of look at him and scratch our head and go, did you really just say that?
There's no other test rider that shows up with chicken McNuggets and a large Coca-Cola at 6 in the morning. We don't have that.
And some potato chips.
Yeah.
And you kind of look at it, you go, where did you get that from?
Speaking of odd things and people, what is this odd thing? And what happened to the hunker that you showed me just a few months ago that was just roached out, and I needed a tetanus shot after touching it?
And that's the thing. So this motorcycle, you guys first saw it probably about 4 or 5 months ago. And it came in as the almost 200-hour KTM. It's a 2023. We got a little bit throttle happy with it. One of our test riders in the high desert, who does mostly tight technical stuff.
It was Mr. Coochie.
Yeah. He ended up putting 191 hours on a motorcycle. It had the stock tires that were on it. I know it had the stock chain and sprockets and that kind of stuff. So if you look back in some of the blogs, you'll be able to see what this thing was. We ended up buying it from KTM because they just kind of looked at us and was like, you guys didn't change anything. We can't sell this. And so it was a thing to where, okay, no problem. We'll buy it, down my money to buy it. We figured that it would be a great story because when we got it apart, stuff was worn out. Naturally, you got 191 hours on any kind of motorcycle. Stuff was worn out, but it still ran, and it still ran well. So we just decided, hey, you know what? We're tearing it down to the frame. We're gonna replace everything that needs to be replaced, and this is gonna be great because we're gonna have cracked pistons and all kinds of stuff. Well, when we got into it, we didn't really have that. Yeah, the stuff was worn out. The motor made some noise. So, but in general, we were really impressed with how well the bike held up to the riding that it did. So I mean, we went with the guys at Power Pros, and Dirtbike TV helped us out engine build wise with Pro X and Wiseco parts inside the engine. Andrew Langston rebuilt the crank for us. And then we started talking to some of our other advertising partners and was like, okay, what can we do? Like, what can we do to this motorcycle to make it kind of the ultimate motorcycle for what we want to do? And this is not a race bike. It looks racy now, but it's not a race bike. It's a tight technical trails. You can get out and mess around with it. If you wanted to take it to a motocross track, you probably could. Maybe a Grand Prix setting, more of just average guy that wants to go out and ride his bike on the trails. And more tight technical than anything, because it's a TPI. It's a 2023 KTM XCW, so no linkage, all PDS. The guys over at REP Suspension and AEO Power Sports, we teamed up with them. They went through the suspension, and even with the suspension being apart, stuff was worn out, but nothing, we didn't have to replace lower fork tubes, we didn't have to replace anything. Now, the guy that rode this isn't a racer either. He's a trail guy, more tight technical. Yeah, Kuchi is I think he has more of a trials background. 100 pounds soaking wet. That he wasn't really hard on the motorcycle, but we decided to go with bulletproof designs, the wheels, and a lot of protection stuff. We had the radiators reinforced. We put a bigger tank on it. You went
tubeless, I see.
Yeah, nitro mousse. That way we don't have to worry about the getting flats. We have
sidebar. Those things are killer if you have a dual sport. I run them in my KTM 500. Nice to know when you're out on the trail, especially when you're deep and you're not coming home soon, that you're not flatted. You're riding home with good tires. Anyways.
Yeah, well, and with that, if you hit something hard enough and the nitro mousse comes apart, or usually when you're in that situation, the whole wheel's coming apart, and you got bigger problems, you're probably laying in the dirt and your buddy's gonna have to get you out anyways. You're not having to change a flat. But we basically decided to take the thing of, okay, what are some of the things that we can do to make this bike better for what we're using it for? We got Seat Concept seat, we got Scalvini pipe that, I mean, really you can't go wrong with a cone pipe. Like I said, the guys at REP Suspension did it. We got a lot of TM Design Works stuff on there. The slide and glide kit put on because it flat out works. It will probably outlast this motorcycle. Full coverage skid plate. They have the fork lug stuff in the front. Like I said, Luxon, we have their brand new generation split clamp, but some Pro Taper stuff on, some ASV levers, completely rebuilt. We decided to change the frame from, this had an orange frame on it. We changed it to black. You'll see a full test on this bike at another time, but it's definitely surprising on how bad it wasn't. And now it's brand new from the ground up. Like, I had to buy this motorcycle, or I bought this motorcycle. I don't know if we're gonna raffle it away or if we're gonna sell it or what we're gonna do. I might ride it and just go, yeah, I'm gonna keep it for another bike that I probably won't get to ride very much, but it's probably gonna get sold. So if you're in the market for one of these things, somebody's gonna get a good deal on it.
Keep an eye out. You know, Tilly, and granted, I am a newer off-road guy. I've been a track guy my whole life, and these knuckleheads kept pushing and pushing and pushing, and now I'm all in on the off-road scene. One thing I am noticing on riding off-road, especially the tight or like really steep stuff, I got to get out of the hole on. Gripper seat. The KTM in particular comes with a super smooth seat from the dealership, and for me, I kept sliding back on the seat like crazy. And like moto, yeah, I know, I always run a gripper seat on my motocross bikes. Didn't really think about it, was lazy, just ran the stock seat for about a year. I just switched to a gripper similar to the Seat Concept, and boy, what a difference it is, like especially big steep hill climbs, to suck into the seat and not be pulled back by the bike when you're in those situations. It's just a little note. It sounds ridiculous maybe, but it's something that was crazy helpful for me.
Well, and like you said, you don't notice it until you ride them. Seat Concepts makes a variety of different designs. They make them to where they have a Comfort XL seat that comes out on the side and kind of grips you a little bit better.
I think they call it a Batwing or something.
That's what it looks like, but there's stuff
like where the things are spread.
But that's the nice part about, again, where we were at in the industry. Seat Concepts for this particular motorcycle probably makes about 7 or 8 different configurations. Tall, low, standard.
And that's another thing, because there's guys, you know, like I'm 5'8", Tilly's what, 5'10", 5'11".
5'11".
So there's your size, we're different, but then you got Ron
6'2" or 6'3".
Yeah, and wears like size 34 boots. Like,
yeah,
you need a different seat to fit different riding styles and sizes.
Yeah, no, and it's great that they make complete seats, they make foams, they make just the pan, so you can customize your seat. They make different seat colors. Like with this one, I was like, hey, I need something like this. And they're like, all right, hey, we can match those graphics pretty well. So sometimes it's just, hey, we need something to match the graphics. Sometimes it's, hey, we need something to match what we're doing. So that part's kind of nice. Like I said, there's IMS has been around the off-road industry for a really long time. There's some stuff like we have the IMS tank, but then there's the IMS oil filler thing that's smaller so that we can run the tank. Inside the frame, they have a coolant recovery system. So we basically took this bike and was like, okay, what would we do? Like, what do we want to make different? We didn't run a Recluse auto clutch. This is the core manual that has all their torque drive technology and all that kind of stuff in it. So, you know, about the only thing that we didn't upgrade, that looking back at it now, and it was mostly just a time thing, I flat out forgot. We didn't update the headlight. It's just the stock headlight. There is a lot of companies out there, Task Racing, Baja Designs, Rigid. Cheerbeast makes a cool thing.
They make like it's in the OG plate, but pretty much bolt and go.
Yeah.
Plug and play. It took me about 5 minutes on the KTM.
Yeah, so there's a lot of companies out there that did that. At some time we have to kind of cut it and go, hey, we're not doing this anymore. But it's one of those things to where, like I said, pro taper bars, because we know that they flex a little bit better, and Luxon has stuff in there, the dampening stuff.
Oh, it's like elastomers in there.
Yeah, so like it's and then the split design makes it a little bit more pliable. So
what you're saying is, as far as the bars and the elastomers, it's a little bit more cushion for the pushing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and we're all about cushioning. That doesn't transfer it into your hands when you're riding. And when you're on the bike for a long time, hey, you know what? Like you gotta kind of get that fatigue out of there so that you can keep going.
All right, so this is the KTM that had a bazillion hours. I'm gonna shoot video on it, and then Tilly's gonna gear up. We will show you a little bit of riding and some having fun. Short and simple day. These are always nice because we can focus on one bike, do our thing, and get it out to you guys ASAP. When we shoot a bazillion bikes, it gets a little crazy, and the timing, and you know, we apologize for that, but it's a small team, it's a good team, but you got to give us time to edit these videos and deliver the right content to you as far as review and everything. And we do take pride in that, giving you guys reviews that are honest and true and not fluffed, straight to the point. So
you gotta stop telling them fun. Like, this isn't fun. This is really hard work, because every time one of these things come out, somebody texts me or calls me, or I had a random guy come up to me at Glen Helen talking, like quoting the vlog. You gotta stop telling them that this is fun. This is hard work. I get the whole dream job text all the time. This is not fun. You don't wanna do this. This is hard work.
I just got roosted. You just blasted me. Just waiting on Tilly, got the camera out. He's up there somewhere, trying to vlog and shoot real video all at the same time. Tilly splooged all over me. This is the part that no one talks about, is how rough it is on camera equipment. Tilly's trying to turn around. He's on the struggle bus. He's getting tired and pissed.
And I've come to the assumption that, or I've come to the conclusion that my inner Cody Webb is not as good as Cody Webb.
Well, my chariot awaits. On this thing. We didn't even look for cross traffic.
I think we're good.
You don't know that. That guy Mike with the nipples might be out here.
Dirtbike Mike?
Yeah, Dirtbike Mike.
There's been some sightings of him lately, but it's been raining back here, so I think he's taking cover.
If you see sand dollars, that's him. This thing sounds pretty good.
It was way better than the last time I rode it. That's pretty amazing. Like, it's definitely, I mean, it feels like a brand new motorcycle. Like, it definitely is. The suspension's plush, pickup right off the bat. You don't hear it going like everything feels tight. Like, it does. It feels like a brand new motorcycle. All the people that did it, I mean, Ray Rodden from Kinetic Ride Co. was the one spinning all the wrenches for us on this, but we got him a bunch of really good parts. But like I said, he's the one that did all the major work on it, and I'm pretty stoked.
And it's crazy because all I see is helmet and boots when you go back and forth, because you're just camo.
Because I'm blending in.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
You're like the reverse headless horseman. You're like the bodiless men.
Because you just blend in. Well, and if you look at it, it does have all the stuff to blend into here. So it's kind of, we picked the right setting, that's for sure.
Yeah, you blend in about as good as the bees blend into the bushes. Next up, we record audio. We usually try to do it the day of riding. Doesn't always happen. There's a lot of variables in that, but that's what we're doing today. So you heard a little bit about what Tilly thought about the motorcycle, what I think of the new factory edition. Kind of a KTM day. Hey, it just is what it is. But you'll see the full test on the 200-hour XC soon. That's where you'll hear this audio that I just showed you. Not gonna give it away here, sorry, but we did give you some information, probably more than we normally do on bikes and things that we're testing. But thanks for checking out vlog 14. As always, head over to Dirtbike magazine. That's where we put our in-depth detail tests, and obviously the printed magazine as well. Pick that up at the newsstands. If you're not on our channel and you just came across this, make sure you subscribe to our channel. Stay up to date with what we're testing. We're always putting up videos, a lot of cool shorts that gives you a little hint on what's coming down the pipeline. And until then, we will see you down the trail.